Good morning, everybody. Boy, I tell you, it's been something. I don't know about you, but I've been following what's been going on with Hurricane Helene, and man, I tell you what, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, they got the crap kicked out of them. Uh, Death toll has reached up to 55 as of when the show started. It's probably gonna grow. It is something. It is really something. And I've been loath to politicize something like this, but I can't think of a better time to draw juxtaposition between Democrats and Republicans. We've all got to come together as a people. We do. We all have to come together as a people. But how do we do that? Well, right now we've got systems in place. We have FEMA. We have NOAA that warns us, National Oceanographic and say that fast 5 times, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. They're the ones that track these hurricanes. FEMA exists specifically because we know local and state governments do not have the resources to respond to these types of massive disasters. They just don't. FEMA shows up with its checkbook and gets to work. They help fit the bills so that states can just do what they need to do. That people, it's not magic, folks. FEMA doesn't have like this magic army of bulldozers and whatnot. I mean, they're actually quite limited in what they do physically. The number one thing FEMA does is it's an administrative organization. They know how to go into these regions. They know how to contract with the people on the ground, get them paid. And also they have the ability to get resources in like potable water, diesel fuel. They know how to coordinate with they've got experience coordinating with the local guard. They've got experience working. This is what they do professionally. This is what they do. And when you have a situation like this, I want to shout out to ABC 13 in Asheville. They even with the devastation going on, they've managed to keep doing their job. They've got some great drone pictures I want to share with you from ABC 13. You can go check this out. It's WLOS.com. You can go take a closer look at these pictures if you want, but this is just amazing, the devastation that has just rocked that region. And this is not atypical. This is Asheville. That's what it was like during peak flooding. It was just really, really horrific for these people. And right now, you still have people that are unable to contact family members. Cell towers were taken down. Of course, landlines, older people still relying on landlines. Those are gone. The local water districts are just decimated. A lot of times in these rivers, in these towns and communities in Appalachia, I've got kin that lives in Knoxville. I've got kin that lived in Chattanooga, in the on Signal Mountain there. This region, let me tell you something. One of the most beautiful places on earth. It is. It is one of the most beautiful places on earth. After they get past this and grow through this, yeah. Go. You will just be so proud as an American what these regions look, how beautiful they are. But it's different. If you look at a town here in Texas, like Dallas, pick a city, Dallas, San Antonio, whatever. You look at it on a map and it looks like a big dish. They tend to be round and spread out. and you just got these big, large. I mean, like San Antonio, even though its population isn't as large as say Houston or Dallas, land wise, it is. It's a very big city. The towns in these communities that have been hit in North Carolina, Tennessee, northern Georgia, and even in southern Georgia to an extent. But I mean, especially these Appalachian towns, I just want to give you an idea of what you're dealing with and why it is so important to have people that know what the hell they're doing. This is Chimney Rock in Chimney Rock Park. It gives you a really good image. There is a town called Chimney Rock, and you can see just parts of it down there. Okay? This is during better days. What a beautiful image. When I'm telling you, these places are beautiful, I mean, they are stunningly beautiful, stunningly beautiful. But the infrastructure dictates that these towns, and this is a perfect example of it, they build down in the valleys, and they will build a lot of times along the edge of a river. And the roads run along the edge of a river. As you can see here, you can see the beginning of the town. This is they're not round, spread out, dish-shaped towns and cities. They aren't. They're long, elongated. And ask our folks. We've got people from Tennessee, I'm sure here in the chat, from North Carolina, Virginia, Western Virginia, those areas. They'll explain to you these towns tend to be long, straight towns. And speaking of the town of Chimney Rock, this is Chimney Rock in better days. I mean, it was a cute little town. You can imagine visiting. They deal with tourists all the time. Reminds me of the main drag in Fredericksburg, Texas. I mean, but that you could see the town itself is one long town along the main highway. Cute little town. And this is Chimney Rock today. It's gone. All of it. It's just gone. I mean, the whole damn town is just gone. And you have to understand, the folks, that live on these towns, they'll be backed up away, on roads that feed out. Not everybody lives in the middle of town. But those roads that go up the sides of the hills, they're like switchbacks. And they're built onto the side of the hill. Few of them are carved into the side of the hill, and those would tend to fare better in flooding. But the roads that they build onto the side of the hill, you have to imagine it's a chunk of rock shaped like this, and they build onto the side of it. They build a road onto the side of it. Well, when you get flooding, man, Mother Nature it's like she takes her hand and just swipes it away. So you have 3 million people without electricity right now today. 3 million people without electricity. Going on what, day 3? Cell service has been decimated in the regions. You got people that they can't find their family, and there's no way to get in touch. From here to there, you can't get there because the main roads often will run right next to a river in the bottom of the valley. It's just how you have to do things. It's really hard to build a highway on a mountain. So they will build down in the valley. So these people are cut off. These people are scrambling to find their families, and they need us, man. They need us. There's no time to be Republican about this. No time to say, hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. No, we just got to be Americans today. I couldn't imagine. I've never endured having to not know. Like I said, I've got kin that lives in Knoxville, but they live in the city. They're fine. They're fine. But there are a lot of people that had to evacuate and they can't get back to their homes. We had several dams that threatened. Thank God. Thank God. Um, you know me, folks. I don't even believe that, but I say it. Thank God. Um, Karma just really blessed us in this one. There were so many dams that the engineers took a look at and said they cannot handle this level of flooding. These dams are going to go, and they all held. There were some breaches, there was some topping over, but no failures. Because I got to tell you, folks, as bad as everything is, had some of these dams gone and entire lakes full of water immediately just flushed down through these, there would be no people left to rescue. It I cannot tell you, as bad as things are, how lucky we are. I mean, we are just incredibly lucky, and I am so. I don't know the right word. I mean, you talk about mixed emotions. Looking at these tragedies, looking at what people are dealing with, and trying to find their loved ones. And you've got old folks that are stuck out on their property, man. They're fine. They're tough as nails, man, but they don't have electricity and they don't have running water. Because a lot of times these water districts, if you lived on the other side of the river, the water district would run a water line under a bridge or under a railroad trestle or something along those lines to get water to the other side of the river. Well, those, even if the bridge survived, most of the bridges didn't, but, even if the bridge survived, the pipes and utilities that were attached to it are gone. They're just gone. So, yeah, I mean, this is what we're looking at response wise. You have roads, you've got the governors begging people to not travel. Don't travel. Don't drive on the roads. What's left of the roads we need for first responders. A lot of the roads are washed out and they are scrambling as fast as they can to just patch these roads up, to patch temporary bridges up so that they can get to these communities, because, you got grandma and grandpa living out on the side of a mountain. They have no water. They have no water. And it's still raining in a lot of these places. And then, fortunately, this is a real double-edged sword. This is the last I'm going to talk about this. This is a real double-edged sword. Winds are still blowing 50, 60 mile an hour winds. I live in a forest, folks. I live in East Texas. Texas is an amazing place. It really is. Come visit. Come visit. Most people in Texas are like me, just good, decent people. The loudmouths, the Republicans are actually a minority here. Don't let them discourage you. Come visit Texas. Texas is an amazing place. I've never seen a state quite like Texas. We have everything here, from Gulf Coast to forests, where I live now. I live in the forest. We have the plains that come down into Dallas. You've got the Mexican Badlands down in South Texas, all the way up to about San Antonio. Far west Texas, you've got the Davis Mountains. It's an amazing place. There's just everything to see. But when you live in an area like, say, Appalachia, they've got trees, man. I mean, they got trees, and the ground is incredibly saturated. What happens is, you've got these trees that just play hell to push them over with a bulldozer normally. Here they get to be 60, 70 feet tall. And Appalachia, where they're seeing these situations, you have situations like more like you see in south, heading south. The trees aren't as tall. The trees aren't as as imposing as they are in, say, like someplace like soft soil forests, like where I live. There's a town here called Big Sandy, up the way. That describes the soil perfectly. They're not talking about a woman. You're talking about the soil. That's what they're talking about. We make that joke all the time. Big Sandy's a nice lady. But anyways, I'm straying. Forgive me. Where I'm going with this is when the soil gets saturated, especially in areas like we're seeing this kind of devastation. When the soil gets saturated, these trees don't have the ability to hold on anymore. Their roots will move. That's okay if it's not windy. Tree will stand up just fine in a mud bath. It will. But when you have a mountain, which is a solid rock, and a tree is grown in what little dirt there is, and then that dirt turns to mud, man, you've seen the mudslides that come down off these mountains. Just the sheer weight of everything just pushes down the mountain. That's one threat that they're still facing because it's still raining. But they've got 50, 60 mile an hour winds still blowing today. And those trees you've seen them, trees wiggle in the wind. Well, when the top is moving like this, the roots are pulling loose from the soil. So you've got these trees all around houses. You just saw the picture. You can't even see the houses for the fact that they're covered with trees. These trees are going to fall. A lot of them are still going to fall. I mean, the wind is a blessing because, it's like when you go into the bathroom, you wash your hands, you go to the blower and it blows, dries your hands. The wind is a blessing in that respect because, the soil is super saturated. A good steady breeze would go a long ways to making everything a lot safer. But when you've got 50, 60 mile an hour sustained winds, gusts up to 50, 60 miles an hour and sustained winds of, 30 plus miles an hour, a lot of these trees are going to fall and they're going to block roads and they're going to kill people. They are. I mean, there's just no sound, no warning. When a tree like that falls, it is scary. It is scary. So please, pretty please, keep these people in your thoughts and your prayers, donations when you can, to help them out if you can. Just do what you can for these folks. We got to pull together. Under Construction says, I joke, I missed this one protected by the Appalachians, but I've survived 2 great earthquakes in Alaska and now a hurricane. They need support here. They do. Because let me tell you something, folks. And like I said, this is the last I'm going to talk about it. ET says, can we have a show of hands of people that were or are still being affected by Helene? You want to post here as well, and he's in Orlando, Florida. That, like I said, Florida took a beating. I mean, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, the entire path that South Carolina even took a beating. Yeah, let's talk about that right now. Let's talk about that right now. You got people that are asking to run our country, and they have 2 very, very, very different beliefs. Because like I say, you're not just hiring a president, you're hiring their team and everyone around them. And you have to take what they believe. And they've told us, the Republicans have told us. Donald Trump has told us. He took Project 2025, he Xeroxed it, cut the header off of it, and wrote Agenda 47 across the top. Their vision for America is to gut and eliminate NOAA and Fema. They specifically say they want to get rid of these grants. Specifically, they say they want to get rid of these grants. No more federal government coming in, saving the day, helping people out. This is not me making up what they say. I keep begging you, go to Project 2020. Just Google it, Project 2025. Go to their website and read it. Amen. Rich says, vote blue to shore up our infrastructure. Amen. And thank you for the support. You allow me to do this full time. I can't do this without your support. Folks, it just can't get any more different, more stark a difference in what we're talking about doing. Democrats, you folks, you people, whether you're liberal like I am or a conservative Democrat, Democrats believe in government. We don't believe that nonsense that the Republicans have been preaching to themselves for 20 or 30 years, that government's bad. Government's bad. You know where that comes from? Everybody that has funded the Republican government for the last half century doesn't want regulation. They don't want a government. The billionaire frat boy club does not want a government. They want to do whatever the hell they want to do because they don't really care what happens in these situations. They don't. You guys like Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilkes and those guys that fancy themselves preachers, they don't really care what happens here. And I say that based on their deeds. They try to gut our schools. What do you think they're going to do? And it's not, and you notice I'm not saying the word Trump. I'm not playing you a bunch of videos of Donald Trump. I got one I can go look for you if you want to find it. He's just a complete idiot. We're telling him, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And he looks drunk. But that's not the point. I don't want to hear his voice. You don't want to hear his voice. It's more than just Donald Trump. It's who they are. It's all of them. It's all of them. And what they believe. And they're, like I said, the reason they believe it is the people that wine and dine them, the people that pay for their travel, the people that donate to them don't want government. That's where that whole government is bad thing preaching comes from. Democrats, we're different people. We're unions. We're laborers. We're teachers. We're doctors. We're lawyers. We're people that came up, got an education, and do the best we can. We understand because of our life's experiences. At times like this, we got to pull together. We all have to be Americans. There can't be red or blue right now. There just can't be red or blue. We just have to be Americans. These people, they can't do it on their own. That's what government is for. Government does what you can't do for yourself. So yeah, Daddy Socialism is going to show up and he's going to write checks and we're going to rebuild these towns and communities. We're going to rebuild these businesses because it's not just FEMA and NOAA. The Commerce Department, you don't talk about it. You don't think about it. And you can't even tell me, I'll bet you, I'm so proud of you. Who runs the Commerce Department? I bet you can tell me. I bet you can tell me who runs commerce. While those guests pour into the chat, those guesses pour into the chat. Our Commerce Department has a disaster response aspect to it. They're working right now. They pulled the notebooks out, blown the dust off of them, said, okay, in Tennessee, that's a joke. It's all online. But they're saying, okay, Georgia, Tennessee, all Virginia, what are the businesses in the region? And they're figuring out what grants they're going to have to issue, interest-free loans they're going to have to issue, because Once you save everybody's lives and get everybody back home, you get the power back on, you get the water back on. What's next? They got to go back to work. They've got to start earning again to take care of their families, or these communities are dead. So, yeah, Commerce right now, they're working on their disaster response plan. Think about that. To you, well, that's normal, right? That's what we pay government to do. Project 2025 guts it, and it replaces all of those people that have been there working for 20, 30 years, that understand disaster response, that have been through this. You know, the same people that responded in Hawaii when fire decimated Maui. They knew what businesses they had to issue loans to or grants if necessary. Just give the money away. They've got experience on the ground. Trump wants to take all those people, Kevin Roberts, Heritage, all the people around that are going to be in his administration, wrote down what they plan to do. You can read their plan. You can say, okay, all right, yeah, we're going to take everybody that runs this organization that is responsible for this disaster response, and we're going to replace it with people that have, check my notes here. Oh, yeah, they love Trump. They love Trump, yeah, and they'll do whatever Trump says. They've got no expertise in their actual job. No, that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for sycophants. So yeah, folks, it makes a difference. People say, don't politicize it. It's not the time. This is the perfect time to politicize it. And while we're talking about, and we've talked about the agencies, let's just talk about Trump and people that know Trump, people that have dealt with Trump. This is Mark Cuban talking about Trump and who he is. And he does an amazing job of explaining why this is a problem.
He's ripped off, I can't even tell you how many people, right? People I know, right, that he's ripped off.
I mean, there's been a lot of alleged issues with contracts.
No, I'm telling you I'm telling you people I know, right? He, like Barbara Corcoran, she said something about this from Shark Tank, right? Mm-hmm. He hired her or asked her to sell a bunch of condos in a new building that he put up. And she did. Sold everything she asked. He offered her $4 million. He wouldn't pay her. She had to sue him just to get her money.
But how does somebody benefit by behaving like that? Like
when that's the only way you know? I mean, he was born rich, right? He's never had to find his, Damon John.
Oh, yeah. He's always had good hair, dude. Rich people always have clean hair, I remember.
I don't know about that, but Trump University, Trump Foundation, Trump Soho, just example after example where he ripped off hard-working Americans again and again and again. And to think all of a sudden he just changed who he is, just not the case. Like, look what.
Boom. Right there. That's a great question. That is a great question. And don't get me wrong, I don't love Mark Cuban. He's a billionaire, and billionaires do billionaire things I don't agree with. I am, call me a socialist. Go ahead. I believe that everybody should have health care. I believe that you should get time off when you have a kid. All the things, I believe in guaranteed basic income. I believe in all the things that we have seen work over and over and over and over again as our society, as our economy, as we grow and change and automate. And I believe in all those things. Mark Cuban does not. He is a billionaire. He thinks like a billionaire. So no, I don't agree with Mark Cuban, but yeah, you can tell there's a basic thread of decency there. I don't know, pay people you hire. And he asked a great question there. He's done this his whole life. Do you think he changed? I mean, does anybody think that Donald Trump has changed? Thank you for the support, Danny. I mean, our international Danny DeLito, I appreciate you, man. Our international audience is killing it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe in capitalism. I do. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not some. They'll call me a communist. I don't give a damn what they call me, but it's not true. I believe in capitalism. I really do. But I also believe that the job of government is to make life as good as possible for its people. Period. If you burden companies too much, they can't function and compete. So no, I'm not saying freebies for everybody. No, that's not what I'm saying. But yeah, we can do a lot better than we do. I mean, healthcare should be a human right. But I'm getting off on a tangent here about Mark Cuban, and I don't mean to. He asks a fantastic question. This is what Donald Trump has been his whole life. Do you think he's changed? He's asking for a job. He's filled out the application and he's handed it to you. You have Donald Trump as one candidate. You have Kamala Harris, who is another candidate. Given what we have just seen happen with Hurricane Helene, given that the scientists tell us it's just getting worse from here, John Edinger, if you did change, you changed for the worse. Yeah, I appreciate that because, yeah, I think so too. The guy just grifts, and that's what the rest of that video was. I cut it off. He talks about him selling tennis shoes and coins, and now it's, he's in a crypto scam and every other damn thing. Yeah, folks, I mean, it's real. Real things happen. We have government for a reason, not because it's Tuesday and we got bored and wanted to try something different. It's because our life's experience has shown us that we need it. Sharon Reddy, we're social democrats, Paul. We're capitalists with a conscience. Amen. Amen. That's why I love our European audience, and I wish you folks would chime in more in chat. I love the support. I really do. But yeah, Europe lives. They have freedom, folks. They have freedom. There's freedom in Denmark. There's freedom in Norway. There's, freedom in Holland. There's freedom in, pardon me, the Netherlands, not Holland. Holland is a state in the Netherlands, folks. So we do that here as Americans. We just do. Belgium. Yeah, Belgium. I love Belgium too. It's on my bucket list of places. I sit there and I just dream of traveling across Europe, the different places I want to go. Yeah, they've got freedom, folks, but they also have socialism. That's not a bad thing. It makes me laugh. One of the TikToks that's going around. That's what I did last night. I laid in bed and just flipped through TikTok. I haven't watched TikTok in a long time. And one of the big TikToks is there's different creators doing the same thing over and over again, making fun of Trump supporters, saying if Kamala Harris is elected, I'm leaving. It's going to be a socialistic hell. And they point out, where are you going to go? Not that you can't leave. I mean, we're more than happy to help you leave. But yeah, where are you going to go? Because basically the rest of the world has that socialism you're so scared of. Healthcare, health insurance, time off. Most places don't have guns like we do. You got to go like real third world to find places that have guns like we do. They have gun laws. Where are you going to go? I don't know, because if you look at, and this is the part that bothers me, I am pulling left. I am pulling hard left. It's election time. So I'm ride or die Democrat, man. We are 100%. You know it. I'll say it again. Ride or die Democrats. Let me see the hearts and skulls in the chat from my ride or die Democrats. We all the Democratic Party is a big tent party. It's from conservative all the way out to communists. There's some communists in the Democratic Party. I mean, it's a spectrum. But the most part, you fall dead in the middle, where you're somewhere around, you're somewhat socially conservative, and you're economically liberal. So we fight like hell about what we believe in. It's not a monoculture here. We fight like hell for what we believe in. But come election time, we walk in that booth and we pull the lever for blue. Because we know there's no way forward with the Republicans for anything. Not socially, not economically. Their view on government just doesn't work. So yeah, after the election, let's fight it out. I'm going to be pulling left, man. I'm going to be pulling left freaking as hard as I can. Because where I'm going with this is Kamala Harris is not a lefty. On the world scale of politics, her views puts her center right. Yeah. Joe Biden, not a lefty. He's farther right than Kamala Harris. On the world scale of liberal to conservative, our Democrats are not lefties. Not even close. So yeah, after the election, I'm going to be pulling, well, let me do it this way, backward, pulling as hard as I can to get us as left as possible. Because I believe in our schools. And I believe that when a disaster happens, we need to have government institutions in place. Or God forbid, we're going to have another pandemic, folks. We are. Political musings with Amy Manuel. Rasmussen is reportedly giving Donald Trump's campaign previews of his results before the public sees it. I believe that. John Tester has to run on road rage. Yeah, I agree. You know what? That comment, I'm gonna slam the brakes on the show for a second because I got something that I really want to cover. But I want to talk about that. We have some candidates making some mistakes. We do. And I'm going to talk about Sherrod Brown again. I'm going to talk about Sherrod Brown again. Hold on one second here. We have momentum. We do. Kamala Harris has coattails. She does. The old timers don't get this. They're not really good at reading the pulse of America. They rely very strongly on old norms. Like they don't believe in young people at all. They don't. Sandy, I really appreciate the help. I really do. Because historically, young people, they've got a lot of spirit, but they don't turn out. Linda, I appreciate you. I appreciate the support. Y'all I can't do this without you. I can't. I would love to see the USA become a full social democracy. Me too. That's where I'm going. That is where I'm going. I want to see stronger social programs. I want to see universal basic income. We have to, folks. Everybody is automating. Hell, they're using AI. They're going to automate call centers. You can't even go get a job in a call center in 10 years from now. We're going to have universal basic income. We just are. And we're going to have a lot more immigrants because those are the jobs servicing people that are coming in and making their way. It's really hard to automate construction. It's really hard to automate those jobs. So those jobs will have people in them that need service, restaurant suppliers, yada, yada, yada. It's a big web. There are changes coming. There really are changes due to technology. There are changes coming, but I don't want to get stuck on that. I want to talk about Sherrod Brown for a minute. Sherrod Brown is making an awful mistake. He is running as a Republican light. Tim Ryan tried that and lost. Because he's basically turning his back on the wind that is carrying the rest of the country. We have to. When Joe Biden stepped down, there were a lot of people that were just really pissed off about that. Thought it was a mistake. Me being one of them. The day it happened, I was on the Kamala train, 100%, because I know she's the best thing for the country. She's the best candidate out there for the country, and I will fight tooth and nail to get her elected. Sherrod Brown is making a horrible mistake. He is turning his back on that momentum, and he's running that same old tired Republican light idiot campaign. Let me say this very clearly. There is nothing wrong with a government filled completely with Democrats. Not a single Republican in it. Nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, it'll probably be a much, much better government. Stop running as though there's something wrong with being a Democrat, because there isn't. There isn't. Ren, Texas Paul, what's up with suggested Texas constitutional amendment that candidates have to win the popular vote and the majority of the counties? Let me tell you something. The Republicans are turning themselves inside out. They know they have lost the momentum. They know that history shows parties will get momentum behind them, and it will run for, sometimes for decades. That's happened with the Republicans. They know they've lost that. So they are going crazy trying to claw any way they can to hold on to power. So yeah, we're going to be fighting all of these nasty bills and we're just not going to be able to quit. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight. In every state that there's a Republican, it's going to be a fight. They're going to be attacking democracy and trying to hold on to power. It's what they're going to do. Barbara Lanke, everybody does better when everybody does better. Amen, sister. I've heard that said before. Indy Kitty, dude, kids are coming out to vote. We can't do my call center work with AI. There is no such thing as GOP light, GOP equal white supremacy. Yeah, there is. There is a thing in politics called GOP light, and that is where a Democrat runs. Joe Manchin. Go look at Joe Manchin. That's GOP light. That's what that is. Why would you vote for a Democrat acting like a Republican when you can vote for a Republican? It is a failed idea. It has always failed. Stand up and be a proud Democrat, because when you run GOP light, you're basically saying there's something wrong with being a Democrat. That's what you're doing. And there's nothing wrong with being a Democrat. Economically, 96+% of the jobs over in our modern era were created under 96%. Google it. Check me. 96% of the jobs created were created under Democratic administrations. Democrats are better on the economy, period. Foreign policy. We are better on foreign policy. We understand the nuances. I'm going to talk to you about something that has to change in our ranks here in a minute, because we're about to leave this and move to a foreign aspect of what's going on. We're going to talk about the assassination, the killing of Nasrallah and the head of Hezbollah, and what that means going forward. But yeah, there is no reason anyone should be running from the Democratic Party. Anyone. Republican light doesn't work. Yes, Sherrod Brown is making that mistake. Yes, we must carry his Hopalong Cassidy ass over the finish line, period. He is the Democrat. We've got to come up with our own momentum, we have to do this. We have to do this. Bernie Moreno is disgusting. He will say anything. He will do anything. He wants that power for himself. He is a Trump sycophant. He will do anything Trump asks him to do, because he knows right now the moron MAGA army will support him if he does that. We have to get Sherrod Brown across the finish line. We do. All right. Well, we have had some serious international news, and it starts right here. You know me, I support Israel. I do. No apologies about it. I support Israel, but I do not like Benjamin Netanyahu and those to the right of him in the Israeli government. I don't. I think that I think they flat out engage in war crimes. I do. But I do support Israel 100%. I am not going to have a conversation about Israel going away or there's one Jewish state in this country, in this world. There are 20 plus Muslim states in this world. I'm not going to ask the people in the one Jewish state to walk away because you believe that they're on stolen land. That whole stolen land thing just pisses me off. I just go sideways with everybody that says that. Folks, my heritage, I am Irish. My dad is German and Norwegian. Ask our German and Norwegian folks about their history and watch them laugh about the concept of stolen land. It's not how it works, folks. It's not how it works. Israel's our ally. They've been our ally. We're going to support them. Israel's not going anywhere, period. Do I hate Benjamin Netanyahu? Yeah, I do. I really, this guy and what he's doing right now, this is, for anybody that doesn't know, that's Benjamin Netanyahu, a.k.a. Bibi. Netanyahu's days are numbered. He knows it. He can read internal polling. And he is doing everything he can, because one thing Benjamin Netanyahu's not been really good at ever is the big picture. He's not a big picture guy. He never has been. And that's what I want to talk to you about American policy, because we have to start getting very big picture about this. We do. All right. Nasrallah. One second. Let me get to the right set of tabs. One second. Stay with me. I know we've got dead air here for a second, but just stay with me. All right. This is Hassan Nasrallah. He took over Hezbollah in the 90s. And he has been pretty much hiding underground for about half a decade. And Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF just killed him. They took out an entire city block with bunker buster bombs. They killed him and several of the leaders of Hezbollah. Israel has been working to decapitate Hezbollah for some time, because Hezbollah is a terrorist organization that's rooted its way into the governments of Lebanon and Syria and have been engaging in terroristic attacks on Israel. See, here's the problem, folks. We have a problem here in this country that no one else faces in the world. Not China, not Russia. They're the only two countries that you can kind of say are on our playing field. There are no other countries that are the size that we are, that have the influence that we have. Really, not even Russia. But when Russia engages in foreign policy in a country, nobody in Russia gives a damn. Nobody judges Russia based on what happens in those. There's nobody in Russia that is pissed at Putin for what's happening in Sudan. Nobody. Not a single soul. They don't give a damn about what's happening in the Middle East. There's no one in Russia that cares about Russia's support of Iran. They don't. That conscience, that judging of our leaders based on what happens, what people we support do, is a uniquely American thing. And I'm here to tell you, I'll fight you on this. That's got to stop. There are places in this world where there are no good options. There are no good sides. Where bad things happen. And you have to be able to big picture those situations. Sometimes you have to pick a side when there are no good sides. And we have to stop. We have to stop decimating our leadership at the polls because we don't like the fact that there were no good choices and they had to make a choice. We just do. Kim, PHHR Guru says we need to donate to campaigns next 2 weeks. If money's tight for let's go do a campaign drive, collective efforts. Amen. Amen. I'm with you on that. There are a lot of people right now doing a lot of great work on the ground in your area where you live. There are ways you can help out. There are ways you can help out. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. Let me just give you an example. A really good comparison what happened, what's happening with the decapitation of both Hamas and Hezbollah. It's best to compare them to criminal organizations. Those are the best comparisons. These aren't perfect comparisons, but they're the best comparisons. This is Pablo Escobar. This is Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar, if you did coke in the 70s or 80s, you bought it from Pablo Escobar. I could say that with all assurity. You bought it from Pablo Escobar. He controlled the drug trade pretty much unilaterally. The Medellin cartel controlled the drug trade pretty much unilaterally. So we eliminated him. Bye-bye, Pablo Escobar. What happened next? And this is what I mean by sometimes there are just no good options. What happened next? I love how informed you people are. And I know a lot of you know exactly what happened next. In the vacuum that was left when Pablo Escobar was eliminated, power fractured into small groups. And those groups, many of those groups, were held on a leash by Pablo Escobar and his superior power. And the groups that came up after him were horrific. The groups that came up after him would do things like, to make a point, they would take someone that they wanted to make an example of, they would stick them in a barrel full of gasoline and light it on fire. And then they would oftentimes have family watch. The drug wars turned incredibly brutal and incredibly violent and incredibly fractured. We went from fighting one cartel and trying to stem the flow of drugs in our idiotic war on drugs to fighting a dozen cartels. Many of them were horrifically violent. And many people would argue we were actually better off when Pablo Escobar was doing the dirty work. And I would argue, oh, by the way, I want you to see this. This is a new cup that's now available for the election. For those of you that voted that want to let your friends and family know, mine is slightly different because I drink left-handed. So she put the emblem on the left side, on both sides. It's going to have the emblem on this side, and then this is going to have the big Texas ball logo on the other side. Just so you know, the I voted mugs are now available. So yeah, sometimes winning is losing. Another example of that is In New York, Rudy Giuliani took down basically decapitated the 5 families in the 80s. You had the Bonanno family, the Colombo family, the Gambino family, the Lucchese family, the Genovese family. They basically decapitated the 5 families. If you live in New York, you know what happened next. Our New York audience, New Jersey audience can tell you what happened next. Movies were made about it. Who came up in the power vacuum? The Crips, the Bloods, the Latin Kings, the Netas, MS-13. You had the Jamaican Mafia, and you had the Russian Mafia, all of which were far more violent, far more chaotic than the Italian Mafia was. I'm not saying it was a good thing to have the Italian Mafia around. I'm not. I'm just saying when you do something, there is a result. You know, when you change a power dynamic, you're going to have a vacuum. And what resulted, a lot of people like me, they believe, see, I got a fresh cup of coffee here, have a lot of questions about Rudy Giuliani, because there was really a 6th family that didn't get touched, and that was the Russian mob. This is FC Ogron. He ran the Russian mob out of Brighton Beach in New York. And Rudy Giuliani didn't investigate him, didn't touch him. He was murdered in the mid-'80s by this guy who is still alive today and is out of prison and free today. And it's Boris Mayfield. And I have a lot of questions about why. Why did Rudy Giuliani, knowing what we know about Rudy Giuliani now and the Russian influence over Rudy Giuliani, why didn't Rudy Giuliani go after the 6th New York family, which was the Russians? But yeah, that is the similarities I can draw for you for about what just happened in Beirut. Okay, we killed Nasrallah. There's a lot of people celebrating. There's a lot of people crying. Any way you take it, where does that leave us? I want to give you a brief explanation of the situation that leaves us in. This is the prime minister of Lebanon. He's nobody. This is Najib Mikati. He has no power, none whatsoever. He is a puppet. He is a puppet. He is propped up by Hezbollah. The only thing he can say is anti-Israel statements. That's it. Lebanon is a mess. Lebanon is basically existing in a state of de facto civil war, except for there's a problem. And this is where I'm getting to. Remember what I said about there's no good choices sometimes. Free hostages first, Bibi, then continue your requests. Yeah, I could do a whole show on Bibi. I could do a whole show on Bibi. I do not like. He's not good for the situation. He doesn't think about what next, and we're left as Americans with figuring out what's next. This is the crap fest that's dropped in Joe Biden's lap because Benjamin Netanyahu isn't thinking about what's next. All he's thinking about is he's losing power and he's going to settle these scores before he goes out. And it's insane. This is the situation. You've got Lebanon that is in basically a de facto civil war. But the problem is you don't have a strong opposition in Lebanon. There's no one to make a deal with. You had Hezbollah, which was organized under an iron fist. You've got they're puppets basically in that control the Lebanese government, but the opposition, and there are opposition MPs. There are people within the government that make up different factions. There's the Lebanese forces, the Renewal Bloc. You've got the October 17th movement, the independents, led by Adib Abdel Masih, Mark Dow, and Michel Douhy run the October 7th movement. You got Michel Mawad that runs the Renewal Bloc. None of these people are coalesced together. It's worse than herding cats. That's the state of affairs that Lebanon is in. So what do you think is going to happen in this power vacuum? This spills over into Syria, folks. So let's just do a brief primer of all the major leaders, what they can do, and what their positions are. First, you've got Saudi Arabia. You got Mohammed bin Salman. This guy's an idiot. He is an idiot. He had an over-exaggerated sense of confidence because his own family never saw him coming. So he thinks he's brilliant because he basically held a coup within his own family. None of his own family ever imagined them imprisoning each other, stripping wealth from each other. They all thought they were just a family. They never saw MBS coming. MBS thinks he's some sort of brilliant leader because he engaged in this coup in Saudi Arabia. He's a moron. He has no experience on the world stage at all. He has no idea what he's doing. He is not someone that we can get behind to try to create some peace in this region. And remember, sometimes there are just no good options. One of the best options would be King Abdullah of Jordan. By all accounts, a good and decent man. But he's got no aspiration. None whatsoever. That's the biggest problem with dealing with Jordan is they just, as long as they can maintain Jordan, they don't care. And again, that's why everybody, you get these idiots on TikTok and different social media, different social media platforms talking about, that are bigots, that are anti-Semites, that are like, oh yeah, they're going to destroy Israel. No, they're not. King Abdullah doesn't give a damn what Israel does. And he's actually kind of glad Israel's doing the dirty work. Same thing with the Saudis. I mean, do you really think Israel dropped bombs in Beirut without a wink and a nod from all their Arab neighbors? But yeah, that's the problem. I mean, we need a player in the region that can fill the void. And I'm having a hell of a time finding it. I mean, Bashar al-Assad in Syria, that's Putin's puppet. He is a joke. He can't even control his own country. There's a civil war going on in Syria right now. We are the most stabilizing force within the borders of Syria. We are protecting the Kurdish forces in eastern Syria. We have bases where we are adding troops and men in western Iraq, northwestern Iraq, and eastern Syria right now as we speak. That is our reaction to Benjamin Netanyahu going against our wishes and assassinating Nasrallah. Because we're trying to keep Syria, now that Hezbollah, who is a major player in Syria, and they've been decapitated, there's going to be this warlike response, just like you saw with the mafia, just like you saw with the cartels. Anytime this happens, it gets very violent and very ugly because all of these factions start to step up and say, we can do this. We can run everything. And it's going to get really bloody and really ugly. And Bibi doesn't care. Benjamin Netanyahu does not care. And I'm going to make a suggestion here. Let's do the Texas. Paul, what would you do? You run your mouth. Recep Erdogan. Recep Erdogan. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Erdogan has a dream of reconstituting the Ottoman Empire. I don't like the guy. I don't. Again, you find me the good choice and I'll get behind you. But Erdogan has the strength and the desire to rule that region. And we should cut him the fuck loose. If I were president, I would have Erdogan in DC giving him assurances of technical support, assurances that we will sell him arms, and I would be wooing him away from the Russians, which we have done a good job. No, Erdogan is not our friend. He is not our friend. Point out which one of these people are our friend. King Abdullah of Jordan is our friend to a point, but he has no aspirations and no dreams, no will. This is what I'm saying, folks. Sometimes there are just no good choices. This one will work. He has the desire to control the region. He cannot fight the Saudis. We can let him take Syria and Lebanon. We could. And it would end Hezbollah. It would end the terrorist states. The biggest part would be we would also have to support the Saudis. We'd also have to support the Jordanians to ensure that he doesn't reconstitute all of the Ottoman Empire. It would be sticky. It would, but he has the strength. He has the military. He has the ability. He has the support. But as you see, here you go. I love you people so much. I love you people so much. You get the complications. He hates the Kurds. He hates the Kurds. One of the things, and there are multiple reasons he hates the Kurds, but one of the reasons he hates the Kurds is Erdogan's aspirations about the reestablishment of the Ottoman Empire comes from history. It comes from history. Well, you know who did a better job of ruling that region? The Kurds. The Kurds did. You know, one of the few leaders that most people understand or recognize is Saladin. They understand what a great ruler he was and the empire that grew from his reign. He was Kurdish. He was a Kurd. Yes, he ruled over Egypt. Yes, he ruled, but he was a Kurd. And there are many reasons, complicated reasons, that Erdogan hates the Kurds. But that is a major one. That is a major reason. Yeah. We have to get over that, folks. If I can impart into you any message whatsoever, is that there are regions in this world that are ugly. They're just ugly. And what we did over the last 3 or 4 decades, especially as Democrats, is we said, if it can't be pretty, we won't play. And that left a void for the weaklings in Russia to influence. Because Russia will go into these regions and they will say, I don't care. I won't judge you. Do what you got to do. We picked your side. We will be here. You commit genocide, we're not leaving. And it's let them fill a void that we just left. We just left. We did. We did. We had this. Our news agencies have pointed out that there is a brutality happening here, and they are using American weapons. And our American politicians went, oh my God, people aren't going to vote for us. I mean, look what happened in Gaza. Did the Republicans, did they have any fear over what happened in Gaza? No, they don't give a shit. It's just us. It's just us. The people on the left of me are saying, we're going to rip the Democratic Party apart because of what's happening in Gaza. Oh my God, people, come on. We have to get over the fact that bad things happen. And if we leave that vacuum, we leave it to China, we leave it to Russia, we leave that influence on the table. What did it do? Saudi Arabia started jumping into bed with Russia. MBS said, Russia's my new best friend. How much work did it take? How much work did it take to get us back into play in Turkey? We used to have Jupiter silos in Turkey. Nuclear missile silos we used to have in Turkey. We've got to stop that. It's ugly. I know it. I don't like it. I don't like it any more than you. I want the world to be a great place. But we really do have to have a come to Jesus conversation about our foreign policy. That's how I feel. You are some of the smartest, most informed, most experienced people. I am not telling you, I'm telling you, if you made me president today, that would be my foreign policy. It wouldn't always have to be pretty for me to be involved. Kathy, that's I want what's best for the country. Thank you for the support. I want what's best for the country. I do. Maureen, and we're moving into the roundtable. Maureen, thank you for this comment. Maureen McKenna, no more empires. What you're saying there is no more American empires, because you don't speak for everyone else. And that's the point I'm making. You say no more empires. Russia says, thank you. And I guarantee you, over the long run, because we've got this streak in us as Americans about wanting to be the good guys. We really want to be the good guys. So even in a bad situation, once we get enough influence, we start turning people into the good guys eventually. It's just what we do. Great historical example. This is why I love you people. Shane Rodarta, am I pronouncing that correctly? Rodarta? Or is the E silent? Is it Rodart? I agree. Rome must lead. If not, the Persians will. Yeah. Exactly. Sun Tzu said, your enemy grows strong on what you leave him. But oh my God, folks, you know me. You know me. I have supported the Palestinian people for decades. I have. I want a Palestinian state. I really do. I know I don't delude myself. There is no way forward with the current leadership of the Palestinian people. Even Mahmoud Abbas is just corrupt. They live for the conflict. Without the conflict, Hamas can't exist. Without the conflict, Hezbollah can't exist. Without the conflict, Mahmoud Abbas can't exist. Without the conflict, Bibi Netanyahu cannot exist. And they know this. That's why they constantly feed the conflict. And I don't know, and I'm really hoping one of you enlighten me how. How do we get beyond that? How do we open enough eyes that people just start saying, no, we're not going to do this. We're just not going to do this. There are 20 plus Muslim countries in the world. Israel isn't to blame for all our problems. It's not. And Israel stops dropping bunker busting bombs in the middle of a neighborhood. They didn't work with us at all. They kept us out of it. They didn't tell us they were going to do it. This was directly for Benjamin Netanyahu trying to influence our election. That was absolutely what this was about, was Benjamin Netanyahu, why they did it now. They've known where he is for a while. They did it now to influence our election. Chaos helps the Republican Party because there's no Republican voter that judges the Republican Party for this shit. We're the only people wanting any accountability. And Netanyahu knows that. There's so many foreign governments that want that idiot Trump in charge because it's so easy for them. You know, slip him a few $1,000,000, throw him some compliments, tell him what a great guy he is, and he will let you do anything. That was a message to Netanyahu. That's the way Trump operates. He knows he can't pick up the phone and call because we're listening. He learned from the Mueller investigation. We're listening. If you call a foreign government, we can listen. We can. So he communicates this way. That was a message for Netanyahu. 100%. If I lose, it's your fault because you haven't made enough of a mess for us to blame the Democrats. Absolutely. Russia, if you're listening. So I mean it when I say it. I'm not kissing your ass. What do you think about what I'm saying? I mean, any of it. I mean, we're talking about from relief efforts to, universal income. We've had several conversations today. I want to know, and oh my God, Andrea, I am so glad to see you. I am so glad to see you. I've been watching you in chat. Andrea was right in the path, man. I'm so glad to see you here. So glad to hear everything's okay. Did you ever get those tree limbs cleaned up? Everybody, much love to Andrea. And for folks just watching the show for the first time, we do a roundtable every once in a while. That's why you're going to see me just sitting here quietly reading chat. This is your part where y'all this is a community. This is the part where y'all take over the show, and I look and find some good comments, and we talk about those. You know, this isn't all about me. This is about our community. ET says it's a leftover from post-Cold War, the pearl clutching kumbaya stuff from the left that has allowed all of this to happen, Putin and Russia, etc. I agree with you 100%. I agree with that statement 100%. 1 week left to register in Texas. Amen. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you very much for reminding me. 37 days until the election. That means here in the state of Texas. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate you. Hold that comment up for just a second, honey. I got to say something. In the state of Texas, 30 days prior to the election, you can do nothing with your registration. That's just the law. That means this Monday through Friday is it. That's it. If you haven't checked your registration, don't wait till Friday to do it. These offices aren't open on Saturdays and Sundays. Most of them close early on Fridays. If you wait till Thursday and you find out something's happened with your registration, that gives you 1 day, one half a day in a lot of counties to scramble and get your documents and fix this. So please, pretty please, Monday, get out there. Verify your registration. Make sure, because they've knocked 1 million people off the rolls here in Texas. They've knocked 250,000 people off, a quarter of the voting population off in Oklahoma. They know they cannot win. They know the tide's turning. They know Kamala Harris is doing an amazing job. So pretty please, check your not just your registration, your people's. If your household is anything like my household, they say behind every great man, there's a better woman. That is true to an incredible extent in my household. My wife runs me. She does. I know there are a lot of women out there, strong women out there. You run your houses. Don't wait. Check your registration so that you can make sure all of your people's registration are also checked. Pretty please. I'm begging you, please, because of everything we've talked about. Francis Rinaldi, thank you for the comment. The typical Republicans' response to the folks in this area usually goes like, this is, you folks should have thought about that before you moved into a town like that. Yeah. Thank you. That's exactly it. Which cannot be the response. It just can't. We're all Americans here. In times of disaster, we all just have to be Americans, not Republicans, not Democrats, not anything. These people need us. Do they vote overwhelmingly Republican in these areas? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I don't care. I'll beat you at the ballot box. I'll beat you with my ideas. I'm not going to take advantage of the fact that you are in crisis. It's not who I am. It's not who we are. We love our fellow Americans. We're not like the haters. To my Christian friends, this is great advice. Be like Christ, not like Republican Christianity. So I know there are so many of you out there that are really just brilliant people. We have conversations. We have email conversations. I know you know. What do you think about my push? Because this is not a push I'm giving up on. This is something that I am pushing forever. About what I'm saying about America needs to hold its nose, quit judging itself, and get into some of these sticky situations as best we can. Trenda says, question, Texas Paul, thoughts on Mayor Denny in Wisconsin removing the drop-off ballot box? It's not just there. They're doing it everywhere. And I don't know if you've seen the videos. Thank God for people that are doing this. There's a guy on TikTok. There was a person standing outside a post office. They were wearing a shirt, a post office shirt, and they had a bag, and they were telling people to drop their ballots in the bag. Post office knew nothing about this. They don't know who the frick this. They've opened a criminal investigation into this person. Don't do that. Never hand your ballot to another individual. You put it in a legitimate government box. Every time. James Thompson, common sense. Wow. I'm a vet, U.S. Air Force, and 70 years old with my mother passing away. I'm so sorry to hear about that. In February, I've been her help and lived with her since 2012. My last 3 wives and 7 children with 12 grandchildren. Stay busy. Amen, brother. And thank you for the support, James. Thank you. Please comment on the pager attacks. I will. Thank you for bringing it up in the roundtable. Thank you for bringing it up in the roundtable. This just goes to show you, I talked about it previously. This just goes to show you how unnecessary this attack by Netanyahu was and why they did it right now. If you take a look at the what they're dubbed the pager attacks, you need to think about how far ahead Israeli intelligence is over Hezbollah. I mean, think about that. This wasn't just like they caused batteries to explode. No, the explosions were far too large. They had what looked like circuit boards implanted into these devices that were explosive material. Reprogram the pagers so that they could activate it with a specific code and cause these pagers to explode. They did it with other devices too. There were some cell phones that they were able to do this to. Think about that. They were able to monitor technology purchases. They were able to interdict the deliveries. They were able to have a facility put in place. I mean, think about it. Somebody had to make these. And it wasn't the manufacturer. The manufacturer was not working with Israeli intelligence to put explosives in their product. No corporation will do that. None. They will not hold that liability ever. That will not happen. So what they did, they caught the order when it was made. I can tell you exactly how they did this. They caught the order when it was made. They made an identical order. They made an identical order so that they would have the pagers themselves. They had a factory set up. They installed the explosives in the devices, repackaged them, interdicted the original order, and replaced it with the order that the Mossad made. That's some 3D chess, man. That is the Mossad playing 3D chess, and no. I appreciate you, Elaine, but no, there's no pager manufacturer that is willing to stick explosives in their pagers for the Mossad. Nope, that's just not a thing. Think about that. Think about how far ahead they were. I mean, they knew where Nasrallah was. They've known forever. And, I want to ask a question here, and I want you to answer. This is a question for you, the audience. Iran has said they're going to respond to the killing of Hassan Nasrallah. On what grounds? On what grounds does Iran have to respond to the killing of Hassan Nasrallah? And is that not a confession that Iran is Hezbollah? Sadly, yeah, that is a mostly true statement. No, really. On what grounds does Iran have to respond to Israel killing Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut? For folks, if you don't know, I got Google Maps open right here. I'll pull up Beirut for you. Used to be one of the most beautiful places. It was considered the jewel of the Middle East. Used to be one of the most beautiful beautiful places on earth before the revolution. Okay, this is Beirut, Lebanon. You see Beirut roughly in the middle of, and there's Tripoli, the historic Tripoli, Beirut. There's, give you an idea, not far from Damascus, right over the mountains from Damascus. Here's Jordan, Israel, Haifa, the northern city of Haifa, Iraq. This is Iran. This is Tehran. What the hell does Iran think it has? Why do they think that they have any justification for a response in a fight between Lebanon and Israel, who are neighbors, over Hezbollah attacking northern Israel? You know, in all fairness, Israel wasn't bombing Beirut before Hezbollah was attacking and firing rockets into Israel. They just weren't. I mean, if you're going to be fair, you've got to say that's true. I love this region. I really do. I'm a history nut. You should Tripoli, although it's not the Tripoli in northern Africa, but Tripoli, Beirut, Damascus. Damascus is central to so much history. It is just an amazing place. But I honestly, I don't think until we allow something like a resurgence of the Ottoman Empire or something like that to take place, I really don't think that there's ever going to be peace in that region, because none of the leaders want it. None of them benefit from it. Not even the leaders we get along. King Abdullah in Jordan benefits from this chaos because they are a minority in Jordan. There are more Palestinians in Jordan than there are Hashemites. So yeah, the chaos benefits King Abdullah. So I really appreciate you folks. God, time is flight. I can't believe it's been almost, we're rolling up on 2 hours here. I'm sorry about that, folks. We went really long. Thank you for the roundtable. Thank you for the discussion. Thank you for the comments. Yeah, I hope this clarifies for you the difference between Trump and Republicans and Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and us Democrats. Life's complicated. Life is hard sometimes. You need people that believe in doing the work. You just do. And thank you all for the support. I mean it. I made a deal with Mrs. Texas Paul when I started doing this. It would pay for itself. This is you know, it would, or I wouldn't do it, because like I said, I was an old retired guy prepared to do some traveling and some woodworking. That was the deal, man. Blame her. She said, this is not going to be a sap on our resources. And you people have more than made sure that I am able to do this. I am very grateful. There is a new mug. I'll make as many as you like. When you voted, show your friends. I appreciate you guys. Oh, I'm also, I'm designing a mug right now. It's for Christmas, for after we win. It's going to be based on Kamala la 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 la. So yeah, there'll be a Christmas mug. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate you, Michael. I do. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.